How's it going, class? Happy Wednesday evening. I'm Instructor Worthen, and I just wanted to record a quick video kind of going over exactly what some of the students in our class have replied in terms of what they wanted to know more about or what they didn't understand. This is going to be a pretty quick video. I don't want to take up much of your guys' time. But to kind of briefly start off, Carlos, you asked, why did the Clovis people stop there? Did they stop there because it was a familiar setting, and possibly they learned how to live off that type of land? And that's regarding the ice-free corridor that was used by the Clovis people. To best explain that, we don't honestly know 100% if they stopped there because we don't have all of the complete archaeological evidence that would prove whether they actually stopped there and lived their whole lives there, or if they possibly moved on. Now, we know that there was some sort of settlement. There's archaeological evidence that there was a settlement there, meaning that they did spend some time there. Now, a lot of the theories behind it focus upon the fact that these first Americans traveled across the ice-free corridor to kind of really following the animals, right? And so you're following your food source. And so that's the best answer. We don't necessarily know why or if they actually 100% stopped there. We just theorize that they stopped there and settled there because that was an ideal place for them to settle. Now, you have to also remember that the environment that was kind of there few thousand years ago is totally different than what it is today. So it might have been a much more, enjoyable place to live. So I guess that answers your question, Carlos. And of course, they're going to learn to live off of the land. And one thing to note about the natives is they're great about utilizing the land to the best of their abilities, and also preserving, and they were kind of like the first conservators of the land, because they were able to, like in some places, they would burn certain parts of the land on purpose to regrow it, leave that alone, and only plant in other areas for agriculture. Now, Eric, you're asking, let's see, how the first peoples to radiate from Africa to the Americas were able to survive the harsh conditions. What sort of tools were at their disposal that they were able to take advantage of? Now, you have to understand that the people radiating out of Africa, that happened over many, many, many generations. That's thousands of years. There's at least 150, almost 200,000 years before they even get over to like Eastern Asia, where they would actually cross over into the Americas. So they had a lot of time to learn and acclimate to the certain climates. Because of course, if you think of Siberia today in the Bering Strait, it's not a place you want to live. So to best answer that is to understand that it took them time, generations, where the people that are living there today live there just fine because they have the shorter stature, because that is better for heat conservation. Now, I'm 6'2", so I probably wouldn't conserve heat as well up there, and as opposed to one of the natives that are currently living there. Now, what sorts of tools were at their disposal? If you think of any of the tools that we find in the Clovis, or many of these early Native American sites, where you have things such as spears and kind of like the arrowheads, different things like that, that's what they're going to really have at their disposal. Any of these tool technologies that are commonly seen during that time period, which isn't going to be too advanced, but it's actually works just as well as a lot of our tools do today. So think of spears and arrowheads. That's the easiest way to think of it, because we've found mastodons and mammoths that have spears, pieces of spears, and also the arrowheads from spears still left in them. And last but not least, Sabrina. Where did we specifically originate from? Easiest answer to that is Africa. Okay, the reason why we know this is because there's mitochondrial DNA, which you can trace mitochondrial DNA through each generation because of your mother. All right. So this mitochondrial DNA, we all have this like certain splice of mitochondrial DNA that we can trace all the way back to the Eve, as many people have termed her, the first human female, or Homo sapiens sapien female. And, you know, the reason why we know this is because all of the major evolution that predates our species occurred first in Africa and then expanded elsewhere, like the Neanderthals, and then Homo antecessor that we find in Spain as well. And so really we don't know 100% exactly where we, like an exact place in Africa, but we do understand that our species did originate in Africa. If you guys have any more questions, let me know if I'm speaking too fast. If you want more like details, I can try and add some props in, make it a little bit more interesting. I'm just personally leaving on a trip, and I wanted to try and record this video before I leave tomorrow. So I hope all is well with you guys, and just comment on the next week's stuff and keep pushing along through the semester.